What's going on? It's Mando Crusader, and welcome to episode 17 of Sunless Skies. So it's been a little while since the last episode. I actually had to watch to remember what we were doing and where we were. It seems that we are at the floating parliament. And we're currently just surveying around this point. And today, we're probably going to be going up this way, seeing if we can find Big Ben and any other ports, making our way up to Woolbury Juxtamar to hopefully get some terror reduction, because that is quite high. Also, we have a slight fuel problem, especially considering that we can't buy fuel at the floating parliament. But I'm sure everything will be fine. It always is. You know, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. But before we shove off, just to mention that, hey, if you like this content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe as well. Both of those really help the channel. Also, be sure to comment any games you want me to play. I do take requests. And with that out of the way, let's head off to the northeast. There's the floating parliament. I was wondering where that was. Right. So just up here should be Big Ben, I think. It should be right up over here, and that should help with the terror situation as well, since that is a wonder. Maybe our scout can find it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Big Ben itself. Otherwise known, of course, as the Tower of Chimes. Also, apparently there's something down here as well, but we don't have time for such things. Right, with discovering the Tower of Chimes out of the way, I will make a cut here, and I'll be back when I find something interesting. So, see you then. Or, I suppose in a second, because we've found the storm that speaks. Or at least an incarnation of the storm that speaks. The actual storm that speaks is up there as the permanent location, but it can appear in other places, and it looks like it has decided to appear right there, which is unfortunate because I kind of wanted to go that way. But, oh well, what can you do? Alright, now I'm making a cut. The thing in the mist, always just keep trucking along forward. We cannot do this. Right, so we're near one of my favorite locations in the game, it turns out, as a fan of Sunless Skies. We are near the sea in the sky, and that's a scorn fluke, and I don't want to I don't want that in my life. We're just gonna run from that. So, yeah, just up here is another port. Just up here. And this is one of my favorite ports. It truly is. Because, so, up here, oh, actually, you know what? I'm not spoiling anything. So, I'm just going to shut up now. This is the Home Bureau. Hopefully they have fuel. Please tell me they have fuel. They don't have fuel. Alright, this is getting concerning now. It looks like the closest place for fuel is the Most Serene Mausoleum. Hopefully we have enough, hopefully we have enough fuel to get there. Right, the Home Office. The Avid Horizon consists of 3 parts. The Home Office, clinging to a pillar of ice. The gate, through which Londoners entered the sky, flanked by its towering statues. And the quiet sea, whose waters are home to those left behind. Approaching the Avid Horizon, the very edge of the high wilderness. The border between now and then, Earth and here and there, the skies and Earth. The few lonely buildings of the port face the great gate of the Avid Horizon. Bordered by 2 vast winged statues, the gate towers over the shrouded sea that divides the port and the gate. The other side of the gate opens far beneath the earth on the bleak shore of a subterranean sea. London rested there for a while Her Majesty was indisposed with grief. A handful of years ago, though, she led an exodus of Londoners through the Avid Horizon and into the sky. You were among them. Do you remember how you came to this place? And this is one of the choices that... This is one of the things that your origin affects. Every origin gets a different, option here. And because ours is a revolutionary... A memory of welcome. You fled London for a freer horizon. Escape into light. When London was underground in the dark, your beliefs were permissible. But when Her renewed Majesty turned her attentions to the stars, tyranny grew. It was only a matter of time before the newly invigorated Ministry of Public Decency caught you. But then, as they closed in, you received a Christmas card, an invitation to Winter's Reside in Eleutheria, where the revolution has found a home. You stole onto a steamer making its way north. You survived on condensation until you reached the gate. Its statues loomed like giants. The door was open, and the space within was filled with sun and stars and light. So this is, it's a little bit... This will make a little bit more sense to you if you're familiar with the other 2 games that Phil Better has made. Those, of course, being Fallen London and Sunless Sea. But still, if you played those games, this is also probably one of your favorite ports as well. The Home Office occupies a stately, albeit crumbling, manor house on the edge of an icy precipice high above the quiet sea. Once thousands passed through its elegant halls on their way into Albion. The gate is closed now, though, and has been for over a year. No one comes through, and no one leaves. Now, only a skeleton crew staffs it, and only a handful of incomers remain, stuck here waiting for pardons or permissions that never came. Her renewed Majesty has a long memory. Compile port report. No one pays attention to the horizon anymore. Perhaps they should. No way home. The few bureaucrats stationed at the Avid Horizon for one departmental sin or another reside in desperate melancholy. Those detained within the fated confines of the Bureau are almost reconciled to their fate, listlessly hoping for a reprieve from London that will likely never come. Beyond the bureau, the sea in the sky lingers like a morning mist. Exiles dwell there, untethered ships strung together, dwarfed by the eternal and uncaring statues that mark the gate to a home that cannot be returned to. Bit depressing, for being honest. Inquire about the sea. How can there be a sea in the sky? Sunlit sea. A satisfactory scientific answer has yet to be presented. Theories have sprouted like mushrooms in its place. Some say that when the gate was opened, the Untersee spilled through, filling the sky like a leaky tap fills a sink, until Her Majesty's government was able to plug it. Others believe the sea to be variously the effluvia of the murdered sun, an amniotic fluid to support the generation of a new sun, the fault of the Royal Society, an industrial accident covered up by one of the work worlds, the tears of Her renewed Majesty for her dead prince. To reach the sea now, one must travel to the stair to the sea, along the ice shelf from the Home Office. And that's probably going to be our next destination after we're done here. But first, you must present yourself at the Home Office. Protocol is everything when it comes to dealing with London's bureaucracy, even at this outpost, especially at this outpost. To all things a place. The acting senior prohibitor is responsible for monitoring all those trapped at the Home Office. The detainees forbidden entry to Albion with no way back through the gate. He sits behind a little desk in the echoing hallway of the manor. He keeps 3 things in his desk: a wind-up clock and 2 battered mugs. He surveys you coolly. You're welcome to look around, though we have precious little in way of diversions. Have you been out to the flotilla? I must ask you, do not pay too much attention to the cultists, and if you have not, I'd recommend staying away. There are good reasons they were never allowed into Albion. Well, always a good thing when we have cultists mucking about. Let's see. We can take tea. There's always time here. The Home Office supplements its meager funds with a haphazard tea room open for the occasional visitor. We can watch the quiet sea. Or we can entertain a request from the acting senior prohibitor. He's watching you from behind his desk and biting his lower lip. Clearly, he has something on his mind. He does not look happy. A regrettable duty. So good you're here, Captain. He clasps your hand. His skin is cold. I've been issued an imperial pardon from London for one of our detainees here. He looks at the 3 nearest guests of the Home Office who are following the conversation intently. Just the one, mind. Procedure demands that someone cannot be pardoned without an independent witness vouching for them. It would be highly inappropriate for me to do so. He gives you a beseeching look. If you would help, do speak to them. Those 3. Return to me when you've made your choice. A choice, you say? Well, I'm sure that this will be easy and have no moral implications. The 3 detainees signaled out by the acting senior prohibitor have taken over one of the interview rooms. The aristocrat is contorted like a contented cat over a rumpled armchair. The courtier sits in the windowsill, a cup of tea rattling in her hands. The nun occupies a stiff-backed chair and is reading something decidedly ungodly. You may interview the detainees and make your judgment at your leisure. You could, of course, make your decision without interviewing them, but that will render your choice somewhat arbitrary. Perhaps that's in keeping with the spirit of the place. No. We need to interview all of them. So, first, let's interview the former courtier. Brilliant, magnetic, merciless, infuriating. Either her personality or her politics have kept her on Her Majesty's list of undesirables. Friends in high places. She shuts a small hand mirror as you approach. Graying, I had a lovely mane when I arrived here. Red as June, they used to say. Was hoping to see the suns, but I suppose the palace hadn't forgotten. An MP I am acquainted with had promised it was all water under the bridge. So we can go to the floating parliament to speak with the courtier's friend. Interview the nun. Surely she shouldn't be here. She lights another cigarette as you watch her. Waiting sisters. She looks down her cigarette at you and sighs. If I could have gone home by now, I would have. Nothing's worth this much bloody waiting. Pardon my imperial. Was going to stay at a convent in the mausoleum. But that's been some swear word, I suppose. Now, go to the most serene mausoleum and interview the handsome aristocrat. He is draped listlessly over a faded chair, occasionally playing with his hair. A question of birthright. He summons a dazzling smile as you approach. Oh, at last! My captain! May I call you my captain? He does not wait for a response. It's been a dreadful mix-up. I have a twin brother in London, you see. Terrible sort. Rather ruined my reputation with Her Majesty. Go to London to meet his brother. I'm going to defer the decision for now. We need to go. So this is going to send us all across Albion to get these people's stories. Thankfully, one of them is in the most serene mausoleum, which is our next stop. So that is quite convenient. We can also watch the Quiet Sea, though I think that this will give us terror. But I'm sure it'll be fine. A boat to take me away. A pale emerald light washes the sea like split. I don't know that word. Offerings left by the cults to the gate blanch the eerie light. Out in the water, someone is singing softly of home and hearth, and a child left in a cradle. There is a splashing of puddles in water, and the shadow of a boat heading out towards the gate. All is lost before an oncoming wave of the mist. Gain 5 terror, and you now have 1 savage secret. Alright. I'm going to pick up 2 caddies of dried tea while we're here. That will be helpful. I believe that will be helpful in helping get us to the next area, which is Eleutheria. We've done all that we can here. Now, around here, there should be 2 other things that we can interact with. So we do have to be very careful. Our fuel is rather low. Ah, here it is. The Avid Horizon. This was a very important, not very important, but this was a big piece of lore and stuff in Sunless Sea and Fallen London. It also can play a part in one of the paths of our ambition. But I'll suppose that I'll get there when we get there. 2 vast winged statues guard the Avid Horizon, the door through which Londoners pass from the Neath into the wilderness. It does not open. A wooden mooring post has been hammered into the ice before the watchers. It is a gesture towards a tradition from before the wilderness, from a sunless sea, when the condemned could beg for forgiveness on the most distant shore. Explore the horizon's threshold. What might you find in this bleak waste? Hell frozen over. This was only ever a place to pass through, never a destination. Bitter cold rims every surface. A merciless wind passes without effort through even your skysuit, your flesh, your lungs. You will not stay here long. Let's see. Besides is a rough hut made from packing crates insulated with thin rugs. A gaunt man huddles inside, leaning close to a small fire. He looks up at your approach. His expression is desolate. Give him supplies to help him outlast the cold. The man must be waiting for the gentleman. Perhaps he has a story to tell. Sure, I don't see why not. A new family. Every so often, the gentlemen visit the Avid Horizon in their black engines. They collect those whose confessions they've accepted and take them back to Pan. As you place this crate down, the man presses close and beckons you down to his level. He spits out his crime, perhaps as a payment, perhaps you need to say it out loud, or perhaps he just wanted to burden another. His voice is as hoarse as murder. You gained a savage secret. Right, so we don't want to go through that. So what we want to do here is if the part of that is close by, I suppose it's on the way. We are going to run out of fuel. We are definitely going to run out of fuel. Is this the end for us? I certainly hope not. There is another port here. Or at least a port-adjacent thing. The stair to the sea. The stair to the sea. A narrow ledge is lodged into the ice here. A stair, thin as a shaft of starlight, plunges into the mists below. This is the stairway down to the flotilla, a makeshift raft of broken and abandoned ships, home to the similarly broken and abandoned. All came through the Avid Horizon, were forbidden, for legal reasons, from entering Albion. The nearby home office keeps them contained here. Left thus to their own devices, they have formed cults. As one does. Descend the stair. Board the flotilla. It's considered polite to bring an offering. Food or fuel is preferable, but anything that can be eaten or burnt for warmth would suffice. Down to a sunless sea. The winds rattle the iron railings as though trying to throw you from the stair into the churning sea hundreds of feet below. You cleave hard to the block of ice, its chill on your cheek as you make the slow descent. Your fingers are thoroughly frozen by the time you reach the bottom and stand on the rusted iron platform that marks the beginning of the flotilla. Let's see. The sea all around is shrouded in a rolling mist. You can make out boats nearby, bobbing forlornly in the freezing water. Some are roped together, others set apart. Lights speckle the water. Cultists still dwell in at least some of the old steamships. This platform is deathly silent, however. No one is here to greet you. See, leave an offering. The sea is peopled with the forgotten and the abandoned. It is customary to leave an offering at the flotilla. For help, for hope, for home. Perhaps someone will come to collect it. Offering at the gate. At the height of its powers, the Home Office processed tens of thousands of petitioners seeking entry to Albion. Some were rejected or left to seek appeals or help from Albion, caught in limbo between the office and the gate. Here at the edge of heaven, in the shadow of the winged statues, detainees leave offerings, prayers, and messages to the world left behind, supplications to the cultists that dwell in the quiet sea. What will you leave behind? We can leave behind food, fuel, a body, or gold. Let's see. I don't particularly want to kill a crew member. Although I do know this is a very interesting storyline. You know, I think I'm actually good. I think I'm good right about now. I can't leave fuel. I definitely can't leave fuel. And I'm also running a little low on food as well. I think we're going to have to come back to this. But we can approach the gate. Once, thousands spilled through the world you left behind. Now it is half submerged, and there's been no newcomers in more than a year. Your crew plead with you to stay. Well, actually, I can't even really do this either because of the terror. Well, I think what we have to make a beeline for the Most Serene Mausoleum. It's our only choice, really. And then we can come back and do this at a later time. I think there's also something that you have to do with the Displeased for Woolbury Juxtamar as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So it may actually be beneficial not to do anything now. Just keep going forward. But we should be relatively close to the mausoleums. Maybe we won't get abandoned. Hopefully we don't attract the Scorn Fluke's attention. Nope. Alright, it looks like we actually are going to make it out of this. I was closer than I thought. Alright, I will see you guys at the mausoleum, where we're going to wrap this up. Alright. Here we are at the mausoleum. We still have 50% of that fuel remaining, too. It's closer than I thought. Right. So, this is where we are going to leave this episode off. A pretty cool one from a fan of Phil Better's other games perspective. Again, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. It all really helps the channel out. Additionally, be sure to comment any other games you want to play. I do take game requests. And, yeah, that's about it. See you around.